of QC.
Julie Ann Genter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd just like to take a very quick call on Part 1 of the Lawyers and Conveyancers Amendment Bill to go through some of its constituent parts and to restate the Green Party's opposition to this bill. It's Clause 4 that sets out the main purpose for Part 1, which is itself really the main purpose of this part of the bill. And it tells us that the bill seeks to amend the Lawyers and Conveyancers Act to restate the title of Queen's Counsel and restrict eligibility to that title to barrister sole. And I have to agree with the Honourable Leanne Dalziel and Mr. Charles Chevelle, who spoke earlier on this. It is a very retrograde act. It's a move to reinstate an anachronistic title, which seems to limit New Zealand's independence and send us back, half a century, or at least to the days when we were solely reliant on the British Crown for validation. Which is a bit embarrassing, frankly. While one could imagine different practical considerations around the procedure for appointments as set out in the subsections of Section 118, we have not really heard a sound practical argument for the title of QC itself to make a comeback. And one really has to ask themselves, is this the single biggest priority in the justice area that this government should be dedicating time to? It seems that New Zealand is facing all sorts of challenges, and yet what the government comes up with is returning this anachronistic title, a throwback to the monarchy, and it just seems a little bit irrelevant. And frankly, I think that the New Zealand public could expect a little bit better from this government than simply dedicating time to a small group of privileged, high-paid, exclusive group of lawyers who, for some reason, are going to be given this title, Queen's Counsel, which simply isn't moving us forward in the direction of an independent New Zealand, one that isn't so focused on these ancient hierarchies. There is simply no call to amend Sections 118 and 119 of the Principal Act. And while the Law Society submission pointed out there was an original lack of clamour for the change in the first place, it was a policy decision, one that came from a proud assertion of New Zealand as an independent and willingness to embrace a future where we no longer rely on Britain for authentication. It wasn't a particularly radical policy in the first place, but I think that it was important and symbolic. Similarly, Clause 6 in amending Sections 118 and 119 to bring back the title of QC is light on clamour but strong on symbolic policy. And I accept that the government members probably feel strongly about this. But I doubt that the public of New Zealand really see this as a priority. And I think that it's a bit unfortunate that we're taking up time in the House for this legislative ping-pong game between polls of independence and return to the monarchy. I would also just add one other point, which is that I appreciate the endeavour that Mr. Chevelle has made to open up the process of appointment and make it less exclusive and more transparent. And for that reason, although the Green Party is not supporting the bill, we will be supporting the supplementary order paper put forward by Mr. Chevelle. And I thank him for his contribution to this, because I think it is a positive contribution in what is otherwise a pretty sad, pathetic, old sort of bill that's taking up our time. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Dennis O'Rourke.
Chairman, I think this